joints on the left. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a live, but I still reinvest it. Fear how I feel, then you feel like a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got your Watchlist coming into June 28, 2021, and I have your weekly breakdown in all of the stocks that we need to be watching. But this week is going to be very exciting. There's going to be a lot of data. There's a lot of individual company news. We're going to get some global stuff, and we're going to get to hear from the Fed as well as get some important job data. But overall, we are entering a new season. You're about to get data from the hedge funds by the end of this week. You are going to start getting a lot of earnings, and some of the bigger companies are going to report. And before you know it, some of the bigger tech names, it's going to be right around the corner. So there is a lot of things we need to look at. So we're going to go over everything that happened in the market last week, what we're looking at for this week, the plays that we made, and the plays that we have for tomorrow. So let us not delay. You guys know what you need to do. Drop your thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open. It's the first link in the description, and it's pinned in the comments. We better see you there in the morning. YouTube.com/thestockmarket. We are trading live, but today is Sunday. Tomorrow is Monday. We need your help. This is the random account generator, and on this watch list, what we ask that you do is post a random option trade. We started this one with $500, and for the last year, we take a random comment on the Monday watch list, and we see the performance. So pick a play below $100, preferably with time, and post it below, and thank you. But right off the bat, we have a lot of things we're going to go over. I have it broken down into just the basic breakdown, and then a lot of individual company news. We got some pictures for you, and then we're going to get into the plays. So as far as what you have this week, if you're watching on Friday, we made a play with it, but you're going to be getting a 5G conference, going to be getting some big earnings out of like Kellogg's and companies like GM, some of those more industrial ones. You are going to get the OPEC meeting, and that's what this picture is right here. If you see the yellow line, this is the price of oil, and then this is the OPEC output, the actual amount agreed upon. And if you haven't been watching oil lately, oil has been going through the roof. So a lot of people are expecting OPEC to raise this production number. We are probably going to see a lot of movement there with oil this week, but that is going to be key. And then one of the bigger economic reports that you're going to be getting this week is going to be the jobs report for Friday. So I have another breakdown. Here's the chart. You could see it, but what makes this one so important? Because the last 2 or 3 months, I believe in April and May, the jobs have not been going down, or the unemployment rate has not been going down compared to that peak that we saw at 14% at the beginning of 2020. So a lot of people have expectations. How this plays out is going to be key, but you are going to be getting a lot of eyes on this on Friday, and then you're going to get another set of additional economic data, pending home sales, private job reports, and then also Fed manufacturing. Nothing is expected to be too crazy from that. And then from the Fed, remember what happened last week? You are going to be getting Fed Williams, Fed Barkin, Fed Bostic, and Fed Quarles. They are all going to be speaking this week. So tie that into what you saw with the whole FOMC and all this Fed speakers last week. So there is that. And then finally, one of the most important things that I've been saying here, you are going to get the hedge fund filing starting on Thursday. So make sure you're watching the watch list. Make sure you're on stream. We will be able to get this as soon as possible. But this is where you start to hear that, oh, Warren Buffett bought this. They're going to name a couple of bigger name hedge funds, but then there's going to be a lot of movement in positioning. Seeing how the last 3 months played out, and then coming into this next quarter, I believe this is going to be very, very important. So you're going to need to keep your eyes on that. But those are going to be the main events. It is pretty economic. Again, your earnings and the companies, that's going to be key to watch, as well as the jobs report on Friday. And now coming into this weekend, there was actually a lot of company news. That's why I wanted to break this down for you. I got specific news related to companies, key events, as well as some events or companies based on an industry that a lot of analysts are following. So there's no specific order here, but you could kind of get the idea here. The first set of news, FAA has given a warning, or they said that they're going to be slowing the certification for the Boeing 77X model. I believe that's their remake of the 737 MAX. This was kind of a negative development, but at the same time, Boeing kind of gave guidance on this, so watch them tomorrow. That's going to be key. The Intel CEO, he said this one on Friday, but a lot of people have digested this coming into the weekend. He said he is expecting the chip shortage to bottom out in the second half of 2021, so these next 2 quarters, I'd watch the chip makers. Panasonic decided to sell their entire stake of Tesla, and they were able to net about $3.5 billion. This one was interesting as far as the Bitcoin space is concerned, but one of the richest billionaires in Mexico, Ricardo Salinas, I don't know, he's making me edit Bitcoin, but he said that he is looking to make his bank the first bank bank in Mexico to accept Bitcoin. It was through a tweet. I don't know how much this was talked about, but that was pretty cool. The next set of company news, a lot of you guys were calling this out, but this one's a little different. A lot of companies now will begin trading on the Russell 3000 starting on Monday. Some of you brought that up, but now for the Russell 1000, GameStop and AMC are going to be added to that, so that's cool. As far as analysts and company winners, I thought this one was really cool, but ASTE, MLM, Rode, Uri, and VMC, these were the Barron's winners of the Biden infrastructure play, and there was some news over that this weekend, something about him vetoing it. They calmed down, but we still need to watch that deal coming into this week. Remember, that was very, very important last week, but these are some top picks that people are looking at as far as infrastructure plays. And kind of related in that same breath, United Airlines, you're probably going to get the announcement this week. They've been talking about buying more than 200 Boeing and Airbus planes, so keep your eye out for that. Again, and I mentioned it at the beginning, that's what our plays are related to, but there is also that important 5G conference. Don't forget about that. Then Biogen, this one's interesting. We've been watching this, and you recently saw the approval there with Eli Lilly, but House Democrats are opening a joint investigation into the Alzheimer's drug, so we are probably going to hear about this week. As far as what else is going to happen this week, this one might turn into an interesting hype play, but this should be the week that Hertz is expected to emerge from bankruptcy, so let's see how that plays out. Another set of winners. This one was actually kind of interesting, but ESNT, NMIH, and MTG, these are mortgage insurer stocks, and they got a lot of coverage here over the weekend, and people are talking about with home demand, you're going to get pending home sales data and the real estate data for house prices. That is all coming out this week, but people are saying with strong real estate demand, a lot of people are starting to look at those stocks. Another one related to OPEC and oil, but this one's for energy. It's kind of interesting, but this one got a cool mention this weekend. But GTLS, they're being talked about as an energy play, and this company freezes gas to make them transport it easier. So that was interesting. J&J decided to settle their opioid lawsuit, so watch that company on Monday. That was a big deal. I think they settled for a lot less, so we'll see. Even more in the biotech front, Myrna, Pfizer, they are actually reviewing, or the FDA has revised the warning statement on the vaccines, saying that there's a warning for heart risk. So we heard about that last weekend. We'll see if it affects the stocks. And then Microsoft, this one was going to be interesting. I really want to watch this. I wouldn't get too dramatic about it, but we will see how it plays out, kind of given the trend of some things that we've seen. But Axiom reported over the weekend that Microsoft had some reports of hackings from the same group that was responsible for SolarWinds. So that was interesting. A company, SBGI, this is a sports retailer, or I believe a sports company. They are in talks to get a buyer to refinance their business, so that could be good. And then finally, Tesla had a software update for 300,000 vehicles, or 285,000 in China. So if you couldn't see here, there's a lot of individual company news this week. You're going to be getting their economic data. We got a couple of events going on. You're going to have OPEC in the jobs report, but clearly our work is cut out for us, and it's going to be exciting as we get ready for the new quarter. But that is pretty much it. So let us get into the plays. So right off the bat, I got 3 different stocks that I'm looking at. One is more industry related, but the first one, I made 2 types of plays like this coming into Friday. I really like it, but it's going to be Qualcomm, and I like Qualcomm for 2 different reasons. The first part is going to be that 5G conference. They are going to be talking about the global rollout of 5G. We were joking about it last week, but we were like, wait a minute, how come we haven't really heard anything on 5G? So I think this is going to be key. A lot of people are going to be covering it. They've been talking about it. There's different sectors from 5G providers, the chip providers, the service providers, to the towers and the real estate related. So we went over this a lot on Friday on stream, but Qualcomm is going to be the first play. And the main reason that I like it is that it can also be an earnings play. So we'll go over it, but this is the play that I bought on Friday. I grabbed 10 of the August 20th 180 calls. I spent about 26 cents, so about $260, decently close to the money. Got a decent amount of time, but the thing I like about it, it does cover earnings. And when I come to the chart, you'll see what I'm talking about. But the main thing that I like about it here is that Qualcomm really hasn't moved over the last 100 days. It kind of looks like AMD. You pull it up on the 2-year, I think the 1-year gives you a better picture. It has had a lot more gains. It's not like it was Amazon where it really hasn't moved. So I think this could also be a good earnings play. Again, you do need the good earnings and the demand, but I think we'll be able to get some premium on the run up if there is any more positive news that is going to come out with anything related to the chip shortage. That that may be able to help. And then finally, that 5G conference. What I'm expecting is that we're probably going to get random updates or mini pops as a lot of companies may go to announce. So there's a lot of other companies in this space. It's not just Qualcomm, but given the earnings and how they've moved, I think Qualcomm could also do good. But then another play that I like here is also going to be CIEN. So this is the secondary one. I grabbed 5 of the August 65 calls. This is another company that was mentioned. They operate in the 5G space. So these are both short-term to mid-term, but these are going to be swing trades. Again, it is both playing the results of the 5G conference and how that plays out, as well as their earnings. So I'm not expecting a big move immediately, as I'm expecting kind of slowly but surely these things might start to get in favor a little bit. So going to be watching them. Those are going to be the first set of plays. The second set of plays, or the second play that I like, is VIAC, and I really like it. And this is going to be just a real make it or break it moment this week, because we've been talking about it. A lot of you guys have been looking at it, and if you see the chart, you know, it really hasn't moved, and it got tainted by the whole Billy Huang thing. So how I'm looking at it this week, if it does go, it is actually going to go. It's going to be able to break out, could kind of reemerge. It was in that little coma. It's going to move on. It is going to become a new stock. Otherwise, if it doesn't break out and kind of keeps us in this range, we might have to wait till earnings or another event. So you could kind of see what I'm talking about. Here's on the 1 year, it looks a little different. You pull it up on the 100-day, you're starting to get rid of some of the run-ups, so it looks a little bit better, but you could see it's done this for a very, very long time, and this was following the Archegos situation. So there was also that news of them getting investigated or making an inquiry into the Archegos situation, so we'll see how that plays out. But if it breaks out from here and gets steam, it's going to be good. We made those plays last week. They are still holding up, and even some of the older Viacom plays that we have, those have actually came back to life. So any play that we made on Viacom in the last, month and a half, 2 months, came back to normal, came back to break even. So there is premium. And then the plays that we bought last week, I believe it was June 23rd, those are up 87%. So there's definitely premium. A lot of people are watching it though, but I think it's going to be a real good one this week. We will see how it plays out with everything else in the news. And then finally, as far as the final play or final sets, I want to watch United Airlines and Airbnb. I kind of like Airbnb, and I do want to just overall watch for the travel trade. I believe we're going to be hearing from Carnival Cruise Lines. I think he made a statement. Again, you're going to get the UAL thing with Boeing. A lot of people have been talking about the reopening trade, even tying that into the jobs report. I think it could be key. Just see how kind of the banks and everything else moved. And I would make sure you keep your eye on the banks this week, but I like the travel play. I like Airbnb a lot too. So looking at both travel and hospitality, that's what I want to be watching for. We'll see, again, anything related to the infrastructure bill or anything of that nature. So those are going to be the main set of plays. As far as everything else, like I said, watch out for the banks there. I want to watch JP Morgan. That credit spread that we did last week, I believe it expires in 2 weeks. That one has been doing pretty good. So again, just a little mini update with the credit spreads. Remember the HD, that one hit. The City hit. We still got the UMC debit spreads and the Beyond and the FUBOs. Those have not hit, but you can see here on the FUBOs, we're up 15%. We're able to make a gain because the stock moved in our favor. UWMC ended up going down, so I believe you're still down the same $1,000. I thought it would be up here, but then that JP Morgan one and then that Beyond one, that was $40, $80. That one, the stock didn't go up, so we didn't get a profit, but you're seeing the credit spreads, they've worked out very, very well. This is the other one we did. You can see I'm down 112 on the one that we bought, but then we're up 275 on the one we sold. So about like a $150 gain so far, and it expires next week. We can make about another $150 more. We got about 50% of that one already. So you're seeing how this strategy works to just generate a little bit of income or keep kind of steady gains. Again, do them small, do high probability. It's a great way to get yourself back in the game and to build up some momentum of plays hitting. So watch them. Watch Wells Fargo. They bounce back a lot more. Get ready for the news. Again, you got the stress test last week. A lot of positivity for the banks. All of them did very, very well. So we are just now awaiting the news for buybacks and everything like that. Watch UWMC. I want to see with the Russell inclusion and how these companies go. I would be watching FUBO and the rest of those are FUBO. So keep your eye on them. Boeing, I want to see how it balances out between the United Airlines orders and the FAA thing, because even though the CEO did talk about the guidance with the FAA delay, he got the letter and responded about weeks later. It's kind of just interesting. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a volatile play there. Watch them. CIEN, that's the secondary 5G play in Qualcomm. Like we said, I love how it's looking. Watch JD. We made that play last week. I forgot what percentage it closed up at, but it did pretty good. But you even saw it with Alibaba. Those Asian stocks are bouncing and they are real value. I believe even Baba itself, even if you compare price to earnings, is still one of the cheapest, like bigger mega cap companies that you're getting, premium wise. You're paying about $25 for every $1 of earnings, whereas the S&P S&P is at an average. You're paying about $45 for every $1 of earnings on the S&P 500. So they had a nice bounce there. There is some China news floating around there with some of the bills and then the bans and then that solar thing last week. So we're going to have to keep our eyes on those, but I'm in those plays. I took JD as the secondary one. It was kind of cheaper. You could even look at Baidu as well too, but I'm going to be watching those. Vulcan Metals, VMC, that came up on that Barron's list. I liked it. They had a lot of unique companies, so I'm going to keep my eyes on those. And then on the same respect, going to be watching the infrastructure plays. We still got that Honeywell. It's looking good. Watch for value again this week. Dow Jones is still lagging behind the NASDAQ on the last 30 or 45 days. So keep your eye on them. Watch SPCE. Remember, they went up, I think, 38%. I thought it was like 50, but huge volume, a lot of demand. They're coming back to where they were kind of the beginning of the year, and this was because they got the FAA approval on Friday. So I want to see how this one plays out. It might be able to even speak to see, do we get any more hype, or, again, just looking for the meme and hype trade. We'll see how much that lasts, but watch them. Watch Snapchat. They did good last week. I believe they had some other news alongside some of the other tech companies, so I want to see that. You see how they haven't really moved on the 100-day, but they are holding up a lot well, so even just get ready for earnings on them. And then speaking of earnings, GM, I want to watch Ford as well, but I believe they report this week. I think it's going to be key. They are already at the top end, so how they report might be interesting. I may even want to sell some premium on it, so we will see, but keep your eye on them. And then finally, UUP and the dollar, baby. It is just playing out almost exactly like what you saw here in March. Again, you could see it more here on the dollar, and then even when we pull up the daily on the S&P, this is kind of what you had here. So the next realm I'm looking for is essentially, when does the dollar start rising? I think it might cause a little bit of some downside here. Anytime we've seen these moves, it's created these couple big days, but nothing too bad. So depending on how the infrastructure bill is, that's what's going to affect the bonds, and watch out for any updates on that. And bonds did move really, really big on Friday. You are still digesting the Fed, but overall, we need to watch it in tandem with the dollar and go back to that correlation I showed you around Thursday. We want to kind of see the market bond correlation come back to normal, and that will stop or slow down this game of tag. But otherwise, we'll see if anything related to oil currencies might upset stuff, and then not to mention the important job data. So I hope you're ready. But that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure hydrate, healthy, ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. I need you to remember, the longer you stay in the game, the more you progress. But the code loves you. I love you. I'm gonna see you in the morning. Let's go.